lot of good things going on right now with Connect app. Okay, let's go into topics. Tom, first thing I'm going to go to is market, because I know a lot of people right now are worried to see what's really going to be taking place. I want to start off with the Fed. So Fed to deliver 3/4 point rate cuts this year. Recession unlikely, Reuters poll says. And this is during a time, while there's a couple other stories talking about how people are having a hard time buying a house, the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to implement 3 25 base point rate cuts at the remaining meetings in 2024, reducing the federal funds rate to a range of 4.5 to 4 4.75 of a point by the end of the year. This outlook follows a weaker July job reports and market pricing that has adjusted from 120 basis points to roughly 100 basis points of reduction for the year. Despite these expected rate cuts, the U.S. economy is projected to grow 2.5% in 2024, up from 2% expectation, with the unemployment rate holding steady around 4.3% through 2026. Inflation, while easing, is expected to stay above 2% until 2026, with wage growth remaining above 3 to 3.5%. The likelihood of recession remains low, with a 30% probability, Tom. I see this story, then I see the other stories talking about American household debt surge in recent years amid challenging consumer, refinancing demand surge on mortgage rates drop. I see layoffs announced at multiple companies this summer. What's going on with the economy?
Well, everything can be true at the same time, right? It's like your dad just gave you a gold star for what's going on at school, but your mom's really upset about you and your sister won't talk to you. All those things could be true at the same time. And that's kind of what's happening with the economy. But I think there's glimmers of hope and good news in here on housing. So right now, the 30-year is 6.25 to 6.5. The banks have pulled back a little bit. And if you've got good credit over 750, you can get a 30-year fixed mortgage. And there's a lot of people refining PBD from 7.75 to 7.675. So 7 and 3/8. 5/8, 3/4 from last year. They're actually getting a full point and a quarter of relief refining. So that's why you see the headlines that refis are up. So if you bought and you found a house to buy, you thought the price was good, it wasn't too overinflated, and you're not going to lose price depreciation on the home value, and you bought a year ago, right now you can be refining, and that's good news for those Americans, really good news. What's not good news yet is the home supply still hasn't caught up. So there's not a lot of homes out there to buy. And in many markets, the prices still seem, a little inflated, and a higher interest rates and a higher price home makes the payment higher. However, the Fed, this story Reuters is talking about 3/4 points. That is being floated by the banks. There is going to be a 1/4 point in September. The Fed has said it's going to be a 1/4 point. If unemployment numbers in the jobs report are particularly bad, they may make that a 1/2 point. That's what some of the lead banks are saying. Chase thinks that. But nobody thinks, even though we're getting reports of layoffs right now, nobody thinks that that's going to happen. So there's going to be a 1/4 point. So that means if you're in a market where you could potentially purchase, if you think the value is there in the home, it's not too overpriced, you're probably going to see 6 1/8 to 6 1/4 in October, right after the Fed drops the 1/4 point. So that's a slightly good thing for the home buyers. However, there's not a whole lot of those, because the rest of America is the household debt is now up again this quarter because of the inflation pinch, and people are using credit cards and debt to pay for certain things, and the inflation pinch is still there. So you can see there's multiple things going on. Certain industries are seeing layoffs. Some markets are getting good news for people getting relief on refis. And people that are able to, in good markets, are going to be able to purchase. All those things are true at the same time. Against the backdrop of the stock market, looks really good, but the average consumer, right, only is about a C+, B- in terms of health. So if you still feel it's kind of tight for you, you're not crazy.
Adam.
Well, I'm just super happy. We had a success story last week, a massive success story with my friend Vinny. We remember what happened when the stock market basically tanked 1,000 points in one day. Vinny's been asking for 2 years repeatedly, when do I buy a house? When do I buy a house? And I said, enough's enough in the chat. I don't know if you can turn me up a little bit. I go, enough with your stupid house, Vinny. Today's the day to buy some stocks. And for 2 years, we've had conversations about what it means to open up a Roth IRA. What is even a retirement account? What's a stock? What's a bond? What's an asset? What is all this?
Yeah.
And finally, we sat down. What did we do, Vinny? Tell him, Vinny.
I got a Roth IRA,
Yeah.
and I put something in a high yield
Yeah.
interest
Yeah, you did.
thing, and then I bought some sneakers on StockX.com.
There you did. You know what you are now, Vinny?
What?
You're an investor.
That's it.
For the first time in your life.
Why do you think I have a watch that has this? Like I have this key, the thing that.
It goes with your look.
Thank you. I appreciate.
You're not
it.
a saver, Vinny.
Yeah, what are you,
You're an
crazy?
investor.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations on becoming an investor.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people basically have to take that into account where Vinny actually asked the question, and I'm just going to use a voice, should I buy a house today? Like, you don't have a realtor, you haven't located the house, you don't know
Why'd you might be sounding like I have Down syndrome?
Because that's kind of how I felt when you're like, should I just go buy a house today?
like I was drooling when I was asking you the question.
That's how you made me feel.
See, that's what you do.
That's
that
the
fights
worst.
break out at. You were
Have you
good
seen
till
my
there,
baseball?
and then you make
Yeah,
enemies.
like I'm gonna just go out there and make it like what the hell
how I
kind of dumb.
Because walk me through what buying a house today would even look like.
Well, what do you mean? Me and Tom have sat down multiple
No,
times.
That's where I already
There's-
messed up.
Well, no, we sat down. Well, buying a house would be like, the pricing, the location, you know what I mean, the
Yeah, but
interest rate.
I get it.
Insurance, the
But
homeowners association.
You weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
You were going to do it in one day, is my point.
No, of course
But in
not.
one day, you sat down, logged in, created your account.
While I was
boom,
talking
you're
to
an
you
investor.
in 5
now.
minutes, yeah.
Look at you now. You're probably up a little bit because the market's up.
Yeah.
The point is this: you're not going to be able maybe to buy a house right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Interest rate, supply, demand. I get it, but you can always become an investor.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations on becoming an investor.
Okay, so that's the whole shtick was that. That's great. Awesome.
I didn't know
love
he
it.
was going there.
So I'm
proud of you.
Yeah, that's good that he's starting something. Well, that's great. But for everybody else that is in a position right now where you're wondering, do I get a place